At this time, we're going to call this special meeting to order. We're going to have a moment of silence, the pledge led by Mayor Masters with the flag facing north.
Yes, sir.
Everyone stand.
Mr. Chair, we need to do the roll call first, please.
Oh, yes, we'll do that.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
Who left that off the agenda?
Mayor Thomas Masters,
Present.
Chairperson Terrence Davis.
Here.
Chair Pro Tem Kashamba Miller Anderson.
Here.
Councilperson Lynn Hubbard.
Here.
Councilperson Tanya Davis Johnson. Councilperson Don Pardo.
Present.
City Manager Ruth Jones. Present. City Clerk Claudine Anthony is present. City Attorney Pamela Ryan. Present. You may proceed.
Thank you so much. We'll stand and have a moment of silence with the pledge led by Mayor Thomas Masters. We all face the north.
Shall we pledge?
Let the record reflect that Councilperson Davis Johnson is here. Next item on the agenda, we're going to have the special public comments. Masters Council, do you want to take the comments before we hear from the candidates for this particular position's vacancy? Or you want to wait till afterwards? The public comment cards. You want to hear those now or afterwards? Anybody opposed to when you want to hear the public comment cards? Are there any other public comment cards that are out there that we haven't received? At this time, you want to please pass those up. So I guess we don't have any. Okay, so we have two public comment cards. We're gonna do the first one, Miss Margaret Shepherd. Yes. Yes, we haven't made a decision yet. Or do y'all want to wait? You would rather wait till afterwards, or what? Mr. Slozier, how about yourself?
Mr. Chair.
Hold on,
Mr. Chair.
ma'am, yeah.
Well, I noticed that our comments and remarks are at the, above the regular. Why is it structured that way? Yeah.
Now this, you're correct, this is not really the special agenda that should have been used.
Okay. So,
Yeah.
so we suggesting that we let's just go through the procedure and just wait, or?
Well, we go ahead and do the item, finish the item, and then council can speak at the end as usual.
Okay, so we'll frame all comments until the end of that time.
Right, and we haven't adopted the agenda.
We'll address that later. On this,
Because we need to do disclosures and all of that stuff.
this is a special meeting. So the only item that's on the agenda is the short-term appointment of city attorney. Let's have a motion to adopt and approve the agenda.
So moved.
Second. Well, no, I don't second because
You can't talk
are we,
about it. Why? Second for discussion?
no,
Okay.
I'm not, take my second back.
Are we gonna reorder this?
I don't want it to kill everything. I just wanted to address the order. I don't want to approve it
Oh,
in
go
that
ahead.
way that is ordered.
Yes.
So can we come?
Okay, so I think what you want to do is, it says regular, it's number 5 should now be number 3. And I guess the public comments, you really shouldn't have public comments, you don't need to have public comments as a separate item, because you are allowing public comments under the item automatically.
Okay.
So you don't have to list it. You don't list public comments under every item. So that should be deleted in and of itself, because you're only here to talk about the one issue.
Okay.
So number 5 should now become number 3. Number 3 should be deleted. And then if you want to have you want to have comments that are separate from this discussion, if you don't, then you don't need item number 4 either. It's just 1, 2, the new 3, which is short-term appointment of the city attorney, and adjournment.
Okay,
That's it.
all right.
And then, of course, you'll take comments from the public under the item itself.
Are we?
Which is item number 1.
Correct.
Okay,
Chair Davis?
yes.
So, do we wait to do disclosures once we get to the item, or do we do it at the beginning like
You
we
can,
typically
you can do the disclosures at the item.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay, I will second the adoption of the agenda with the
Correction.
corrections that Ms. Ryan just stated in that order.
Okay, with item 5 being 3, 3 being deleted, along with 4. Do you have a second?
I second it.
She did.
Oh,
Second.
Okay, all right. Madam Clerk?
Councilperson Hubbard,
Yes.
Councilperson Miller Anderson,
Yes.
Councilperson Davis Johnson. Yes. Councilperson Pardo.
Yes.
Chair Davis.
Yes.
Unanimous vote.
All right, now we down to the regular, any disclosures by, in the council?
Councilwoman Lynn Hubbard disclosing that I have been represented by Attorney Andrew DeGraffenwright. Wright.
Councilperson Davis, I have been represented in the past by Attorney DeGraff Wright, and I've also had a conversation with Attorney Corey Smith.
I have not been represented by any one of the attorneys. I did ask Ms. Ryan to send over all of the resumes, and so based upon the resume that was submitted by Mr. DeGraff Wright, I did meet with him a couple days ago.
Mr. Chair, I also like to disclose that I've been represented a few times by Attorney Graff Knight since I've been here.
Okay.
And I did not have those other resumes before today. Well, the weekend, Sunday.
Right.
No, yesterday?
Yesterday, Sunday.
Right, okay. So that's why I didn't meet with the others.
Actually, you didn't get it till, because it didn't go through. I tried to email it last night, and I didn't know it
So
was in
this
my
morning.
outbox until you
Okay.
sent me the email
That's
this
why I
morning.
met with only Mr. DeGraff.
Correct.
All right, okay, this time, all right, now, Madam Clerk, you have the short-term appointment for the city attorney.
May I start just to say where we left off at the council meeting, Mr. Chair? After the council meeting, and I know there was a lot of different discussions, but I reached out to Mr. DeGraff Wright and to Ms. Booker.
Okay,
Ms. Booker has not responded. I sent her an email regarding submitting a resume or a CV, and she has not done that. So I wanted to let you all know that you don't have it because she did not submit anything to me. I don't know if she
Okay.
submitted something to you directly.
but didn't you say she reached out to you before inquiring about the position?
She did.
So what happened between then and now?
The council meeting,
Yes,
that's all I know that happens between then and now. I'm just saying, that's all I know.
Interesting.
She didn't respond.
okay,
Also, today, I received a letter of interest from Attorney Corey Smith. I reached out, as I believe it was Ms. Davis Johnson, who asked that I send a letter, an email or something out to all of the attorneys that were on our list. So I sent an email out to all of those attorneys, and Mr. Tercivia's firm responded, and Mr. Smith responded today.
Okay.
And I think he sent you all an individual
He
email,
did.
which you may
Yes.
have.
Mhm.
That's it.
All right. So this time, would the council like to have each firm, each individual come up and talk a little bit about who they are, some of their experience with their firm? How would y'all like to conduct it? Y'all comfortable with that? Everyone's fine? Okay. All right, so let's start with, Glenn Tercivia's firm.
Hi, good afternoon. My
Good
name is
afternoon.
Christy Otto.
I'm a shareholder in Torsivia's firm, which is now Torsivia, Donlin, Gatto, and Antse. Get this a little closer. How's that? Is that better?
Better, much better.
Has everybody received our proposal? If not, I have extra copies here.
Yeah, we got it this morning. Yep.
Okay. Just briefly, as stated in our proposal, we've been representing the city since 1989, and we continue to represent the city. We represent you on litigation, labor and employment, and we represent your police department. In the past, we have also provided you with interim legal services. We've represented you as both the city attorney and as a special assistant city attorney, providing your day-to-day legal services with usually Glenn attending the night meetings. As stated in our proposal, we have extensive experience in Palm Beach County with representing local governments. The proposal contains additional background information on our firm and all of our attorneys that we use as a resource and a team approach for every client. We submitted our proposal based on Ms. Ryan's email that you are in need of interim services and believing it just makes sense since we've done it in the past to step in. The firm certainly appreciates the opportunity to present this proposal to you, and I'm here today to answer any questions you may have about our firm, myself, or our previous service or our current services to the city.
Thank you so much. Any members of the board, you can start your questions now for the Torsivia firm.
I have questions.
Mayor?
Yes. Could you name the attorneys that are working on in your firm?
Yes, there's of course Glenn Torsivia, who started the firm. There's Laura Donlin, who does labor and employment. There's myself, I do primarily local government. There's John O'Connell, who does labor and employment. There's Carolyn Antse, who does primarily environmental law, but also local government. And there is Jennifer Heineke, which provides local government services as well.
This is, I'm kind of going through the bio or synopsis of your firm. Have you submitted any type of suggested cost to the city?
Yes, Mayor.
What is that, please?
Our current rate for general services to the city is $195 an hour, and we have proposed to continue at that rate.
Okay, if you were working in an interim position, how do you calculate that? Are you 8 hours a day times one?
That's a good question. What we don't do is we don't block bill. When we do interim services, as we've done in the past, I come to the city with my laptop and I do whatever work is necessary, whatever meetings are necessary with staff or with council members. But I only bill you for the time I'm actually working on your issues. Because we have a lot of local government clients, at times we get an emergency, a fire that we've got to attend to. So I do not, of course, bill the city for that time. So on my billing for interim services, you will see specific timeframes for issues that I actually worked on.
So actually, you would be somewhat on call. When there's an issue, you
Yes,
bill it. If there isn't an
absolutely.
issue or there's not a need, then you don't bill. Is that what you're saying?
That's exactly what I'm saying. And the way we've done this in the past, Glenn and myself, is you all have our cell phone numbers, you have our email address, we set up hours with the legal staff or other staff to attend meetings or just to come in and review the day-to-day legal issues.
So let me kind of press that point. So what you're saying is, as an interim attorney, law firm, you're not really dealing with us on a day-to-day basis unless needed?
Well, the way we've done it in the past, and let me make sure I'm answering your question, the way we've done it in the past is whatever needs you have, we will be there for you. We typically set up a set schedule with staff so everybody knows when we're going to be at City Hall. But at times, other issues come up, at night, phone calls, emails come up, and we address them and try to make sure that we're there for you at any time you need us.
Okay, you said that's the way you've done it in the past. Have you given any thought as to any modifications about moving forward, since we're looking for, I would think, a full-time interim city attorney that's in the office every single day?
If that's what the city desires.
I don't know, that's what I'm just.
Right,
I
if
don't
that's
know,
what the
just
city
me.
desires, we can make it happen. But I think in the past, for the interim, we've always just provided what seems to work best with everybody's schedule. But we're certainly happy to entertain the idea of being there 24/7 or during business hours.
Okay, during business hours, could you suggest, or could you tell me a minimum, would that be? Let's just say we know that you're going to be there 3 hours a day, or for at least 4 hours a day. Is that, would you
It's
come up with
whatever-
some type of measurement?
Right, whatever works out best for the council, because of course we'd be serving at the pleasure of the council, and whatever works out best for staff, whether that is from 8:30 in the morning to 5:30, plus the council meetings and other meetings, or whether that's a shortened time frame. We sort of open it up to you to what's going to work best for you.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you. Any other members of the board have any questions for the Torsivia Law Firm?
Yes, I do.
Madam,
Hi, can you tell us how long the Torsivia Law Firm has been in practice?
The firm was started in 1989 when Glenn Torsivia left the county attorney's office. He was with that office for about 4 years, and one of his first clients was the city of Riviera Beach, along with the healthcare district, and that's when he started it.
Okay, and what other municipalities in Palm Beach County do you represent?
Currently in Palm Beach County, we are the city attorney for the city of Lake Worth, the city of Belle Glade, Highland Beach, and Ocean Ridge. There's other cities that we represent, much like the city of River Beach, on special projects or different issues.
Okay, and...
Oh, and let me add Village of Palm Springs.
Okay, and I don't know if this is for you or Ms. Ryan, how many cases are you currently handling for the city?
I think just 2 that I'm aware of.
Okay, and then you also act as the attorney for one of the labor unions, correct? Or our attorney when they sit down with the unions, correct?
For 2 of the unions, correct.
And which are
The
they?
fire rescue, and I believe it's PMSA.
Correct. Okay, and when did you guys first started doing business with Riviera?
It was in 1989 when Glenn first opened the office.
Okay, all right, thank you.
Thank you.
any other members of the board? Any questions before we move on to the next candidate?
Mr. Chair.
Yes, I do have another
Vice
question.
Chair, go ahead.
I'm sorry, not another question, but a question. You said that those municipalities that you represent, you said something about Riviera Beach, it's only, what did you just say a few minutes ago?
It's sort of special projects. We're not obviously your city attorney, so it's by assignment as.
So those that you listed are just by assignment, or you said you had a few others that you
Right,
do, but are just by
right.
assignment?
There's other cities that we represent for litigation or for special matters that we're not technically the in-house or the city attorney.
So are you all equipped in terms of employees to have us basically like on a full-time basis and not just on project by project?
Absolutely. And that's what we've done in the past, and whatever your pleasure is in terms of how that schedule should work out, we're prepared to meet that schedule.
Okay, thanks.
All right. Before we move on, do you have any other questions,
Yes, I
Mayor?
do. I notice on page 414, Mr. Torsivia has, as special counsel, represent the city of Riviera Beach since 1989 in a diverse variety of matters, including defending claims of employment, discrimination, defending police officers in unlawful use of force cases, et cetera, et cetera. Could you tell me over the past year or 2 years, how many cases that you think that you represented for the city of Riviera Beach?
Since Mr. Torsivia took over in 1989, it really has changed our representation of the city. He used to do a lot of insurance defense, and when he first started representing the city, that was a main part of his practice. It now developed more into local government, so I'm not exactly sure over the last 2 years exactly how many cases we've had. It hasn't been a lot, because we typically come in to handle litigation that's not covered by your insurance. So it's those odd cases that pop up that we kind of come in with sort of our local government experience on how to handle those cases.
I guess what I'm really asking, the cases that you've handled for us, what is your track record has been as far as winning or losing?
Our track record? I
That's
think our
what I
track
need to
record is, we're doing pretty good. You know, we did represent you on some of the early Fane Lozman cases with Public Records and Sunshine. And I think
Pretty good means what?
I think we're winning a majority of the cases, or having them dismissed as a beneficial matter for the city.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
I neglected to disclose that Mr. Torcevia has represented me also.
I don't have any questions. So what we'll do is we'll start calling each individual law firm as it follows. Thank you for your time.
Okay.
At the end of that time, we will deliberate on how the board wants to move forward. But thank you so much.
Thank you again for the opportunity.
Okay. Attorney Smith, did you want to present, or, okay, the Graph and Right? Yes, sir. Take your time, tell us a little something about your history and how you the best person for the city of River Beach. Whether or not, give or
Since
take.
this is a governmental job, I start with that type of experience. I started working in government as a law clerk for Mr. Cardwell, who was the city attorney of the city of Fort Lauderdale. That would be back in 1970. I moved on to work for Gaylord Wood, who was the attorney for Bill Markham, who was the property appraiser. This is while I'm in law school for a couple of years. And then I worked as an assistant county attorney under Betty Lynn Lee until my dad ran for Congress and it created a nepotism problem. And I was hired by the city of Hollywood, which was one of my fondest jobs because I was the deputy city attorney. It involved pretty much representing the city in court. It did not involve being a public official. That came later. I think it was about 1988 that I became the city attorney of Hollywood, and I stayed there about 6 years until I was hired by Arthur England's firm. He was a former Supreme Court Justice, Fine Jacobs Nash Block in England, and they had primarily a municipal government practice that was based in Miami. We operated the Fort Lauderdale office. Had a brief stint out in private practice, which I enjoyed immensely. Government can get a little tedious. And I came to Riviera Beach about 1989. While I was with Fine Jacobs and Block in England and that crew, that's when I met Glenn Torcevia. And I need to make a public disclosure. Glenn's my friend. We were working together on a case that involved Leonard Briscoe, and I forget the name of the complex, but it's the apartments on Wedgwood was what they called it, yes it was. And there were some issues about funding and misappropriation of money and things of that nature. And Gary Brandenburg was the county attorney at the time, and Glenn got the call. And we litigated that case together. And he started his firm in 1989, because we talked about it. And he did work for the city since 1989 because I hired him. And we are close today. Visit all the time, go to his house. He comes to my house. I was at his dad's funeral. We talk about things like brothers. So, you know, but we represent our clients effectively. We have crossed swords and we've prayed together for each other before we crossed swords. So there's no issue there. In terms of what I think I can offer you,
Are we
to be
good?
candid, you know, I'm at a point in my life where I had a lot of fun being a lawyer. You know, ask the question, who have I represented? More important, the question, who have I not represented in this community? You know, and I'm not really trying to build a major practice, candidly. So in terms of addressing what you need, I'm available. You know, I can give you my full time. There are a couple of cases in federal court that have not been transferred to other firms. Mr. Gary's picked up a lot of because I told him I was trying to get out of business. I got 2 that I need to address maybe in October if they don't settle, but I don't see any conflicts. In terms of fee, it's negotiable. We sit down and talk about it. I looked at your budget. You spend a substantial amount of money on legal fees. You know, and that's something I'm willing to look at and see if there's some adjustments that can be made in how that is done. I need to be candid with you about another thing. You're gonna have to make a decision. Trial lawyers can't be at City Hall holding your hand. If you want me to do trial work, I won't be there. But if you give me the staff, I promise you I can train them and they'll be good. And I'll be there and they'll represent you in the court.
Okay, all right.
There's some things that have to be thought through. I cannot come and give you today a panacea because I ain't educated on what the lay of the land is. But I think my experience and background gives me the infrastructure to address it positively according to your directives. I'm prepared to answer any questions.
Okay, any members of the board, any questions?
Mr. Chair,
Mayor?
Mr. Director Knight,
Yes.
good afternoon.
Hey,
Good to see you.
how you doing, sir?
I saw you in court recently, and let me just say for the record, you did a great job. You were outstanding, and I should not have been impressed because I've always known that you have been a good attorney, but to see you in action, I was greatly impressed.
Thank you for being kind.
Of how you cross-examined the witnesses. You did a great job, and let me just say that. Let me also thank you for being my attorney when I needed one, and I'm pretty sure it was pro bono because I didn't have no money at the time, probably still don't. So if I owe you anything, please let me know.
No, sir.
Let me say a couple things. Very kind of you to mention your relationship, friendship with Glenn Trustee, who I have great respect for and admire his legal abilities. Can you foresee any time that the two of you may work together, or it may be something that you may want him to do along with you, if that arises?
Professionally, that depends upon what directives you give me. Personally, I'd love to work with Glenn. We make a great team.
Yeah, I believe that.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. Yes, sir.
When you were attorney for the city of Riviera Beach, how many, I think you mentioned, I think 1990, how many years did you work as the city attorney?
Roughly about 10, I believe. It's from 89 to about 99, somewhere in there. And my son was born in 95, and it's like several years after that. My guess would be somewhere between 8 and 9 years. I don't
So
specifically
you
recall.
have worked for different councils, basically?
Oh, yes.
You worked for a
Yes, sure.
council that
Yes, sir.
day, you worked, you've done things now.
Yes, sir.
Okay, that's it.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Any questions from any other members of the board?
Well, yeah, Mr. Chair.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, I don't know if this is a question, I think it's more of a comment. I sincerely appreciate Mr. Graffenreich coming up here and, applying for this position, but I was under the assumption that it was just short-term until we went out and did a search, either, a local search or a national search. And it just seems to me, the way the conversation is going, that if we hire Mr. Graffenreich or someone else, we are making the decision on our long-term city attorney. So can someone clarify that?
I'd like to gladly clarify that. Did you get the opportunity to read my proposal letter? It was sent over to the council on July 7th.
I read it all.
You did? There was a section in there that specifically addressed my intentions to assist you in developing and formulating your search for a permanent attorney. If that
All
would
right,
be the
sir,
case.
I didn't get an attitude with you.
No, I'm sorry. Please forgive me. I didn't mean that to come that way.
No apology
I was
needed.
merely
Just speak to the
saying-
mic. Let's speak to the mic.
I was merely saying that your concern had previously been addressed. I never intended that that would be permanent. I don't know how the discussion is being perceived by you. My point was, if the letter indicated that I was prepared to assist you to find someone else, it would give an indication that I was not trying to be your permanent attorney. That was
Sure.
my only point.
Chair Davis.
Come on.
After you,
Councilperson Pardo, you have another question?
Yes, she did.
I have no other questions.
Okay, Vice Chair?
I think I did make that very clear when we brought this up at our last meeting, that this would be short-term, and we would be looking for a permanent person doing a search. So that's where I am with that.
But,
And that was understood.
to be clear, I think we all received the same proposal.
Yes.
And in reading that proposal, it was very clear, and that was the intent in the last meeting, that this is a short-term position, interim position, until this board decide on what they want to do. Any other questions?
Yes, one more, Mr. Chair.
Go ahead, Mayor.
Mr. Attorney DeGraff, Knight,
Yes, sir.
we have in our packet a letter from you regarding my alleged conflict of interest in representing the city. Just for the record, since the viewing public may not have the benefit of seeing the letter, would you state why, well, you quote Rule 4-1.7. Would you like to state on the record what that rule is?
Yes, sir. It was in response to an inquiry that was raised by your city attorney. I believe she addressed that issue at the council meeting, that she did not perceive a conflict, but she asked me to write something with respect to that issue. And I went and cited that rule, which is the Florida Bar Rule that controls conflicts. And basically it says, I cannot represent in a situation where one's client's interest may be adverse to another. Okay? And I called the board's attention to the fact that I don't work for you individually. I work for you collectively. There cannot be a conflict when all my directives come from a majority of you. That's in terms of me representing you sitting in the chair of the city attorney. There are potentials for conflicts when you direct me to do litigation. And that comes in those rare occasions where I've got 2 or more public officials or employees involved in the same incident. And each of them may bear their own culpability, then I can't represent all of them. Or in a situation where an individual representing the city does something that is outside their scope of authority, or with wanton and willful neglect for human safety or property rights. In that instance, 768-28 says the city coffers are not on the hook for those, and I'm required to make that defense on your behalf. And that puts me adverse to the person acting on behalf of the public corporation.
Thank you, Mr. Attorney.
Okay, any other questions by any of the board members? Attorney DeGraff, Wright, thank you for your time.
Thank you, sir.
Okay, so we've heard, okay, Ms. Booker's not here, Attorney Booker's not here. Anyone else that's a lawyer that wanted to submit a resume before we deliberate or want to practice law? Not today. All right, let's go back to the board now. So we've heard from two of the law firms, and of course, Attorney Smith has submitted his, let's go now. Mr. Slozier, then we go Shepherd.
Good afternoon. Michael Sloser, 4100 North Ocean Drive, Riviera Beach, Florida. I don't have a long question, but it is a question, and it comes to mind as you all made your disclosures about any involvement you might have in legal matters. I wonder if in hearing from lawyers or law firms that would be representing us on an interim basis, whether we've asked them if they are involved with anybody that we may be or currently are involved in legal matters. I think that's something, if I was sitting there, I'd want to know, are they in fact, have they experience with people that we're currently or we have been involved in that we should be aware of, not as a disqualifier, but just as something that we should know as a board. And that's it.
Thank you. Ms. Shepherd, Ms. Margaret Shepherd.
Margaret Shepherd, Riviera Beach. While I heard Mr. DeGraff write very well, I think he does an excellent job in what he does. But I do get butterflies in my stomach because that's what he did. He represented members of council very well. And so I asked myself a question, will he be on that basis with you all? Because he is very friendly with you. I mean, I kind of watch a little bit. Or will he pull back and do business of the city? So I have great reservations, and I think Mr. DeGraff Wright did a great job. I remember when my cousin Clara was the mayor here, I I would often hear her speak very fondly of him. So that's some of the things that kind of bother me with what is it, Tricernia?
To Sylvia.
You know who I'm talking about. I watch him. I mean, he come in, he do the business that he's gifted to do, and then he leave. I don't see him really, unless he do it behind closed doors, interact. And I'm not saying it's nothing wrong, interact. This city is in a fight for its life. They need someone measure up to Mrs. Ryan on her thinking ability. I said to her today, when you don't trust your attorney, it's time to go. They don't trust her, and she made that decision to go, and that's a good thing. That's a good thing. But I ask you, counsel, to please understand one thing, that we need your undivided attention. And that's what the business of the city, that's my only concern. As Mrs. Hubbard says, she was in a historical movement this year in her election. And Mr. DeGraffenreich was very, very, I mean, he did a great job, what can I say? So I just ask you all, please, when you make your decision, take all of that in. Are we going to do business of the city, or are we going out for cocktails? Thank you.
Thank you. All right, that's the end of public comment. We just had 2 comment cards, but before we move further, if anyone walked in late, I will allow this one time as a courtesy to take a public comment card. Okay. Attorney Smith, you got something you want to say?
Yes. Good afternoon, council members. I put my name in.
Yes.
And I wanted you all to understand that Corey Smith, 1009 Centerstone Lane, Riviera Beach. I put my name in not for the interim position, so I wanted that to be clear, so that when you all take a vote, it is for the interim position, so my name shouldn't be considered in that respect. So I just wanted you all let you all know that I put my resume in for a position in the office, not necessarily on an interim basis.
Okay. So, thank you.
Thank you.
It's good to see you. It's okay to be nice to people in Riviera Beach, right? All right. Now let's go ahead and get to why we're here. We've heard from all 3 parties. One stating that he would like to potentially work for either firm if suggested by him being a resident from Riviera Beach and with his experience he's presented before us. So at this time, how would you all like to deliberate on one firm versus the other? Both firms obviously are qualified. I made no comments up until now. To Sylvia firm, like she stated before, represented Highland, Belglade, Lake Worth, Riviera Beach, Ocean Ridge, and Palm Springs. Attorney DeGraffenreich represented the City of Fort Lauderdale Property Appraisals, Assistant County Attorney, City of Hollywood, and was back in 1989, at the time of Tosivio's law firm birth, he hired Lynn Tosivio. So we have 2 people who are extremely qualified and great experience, and come with great credibility, and we're going to make a business decision at that time. And I hope that people keep it as a business decision. One person is going to win, one person is going to lose, but the way I look at it, we'll find out. So I'm going to hear from the board and suggest how you all like to go at this time before anything happens. Councilperson Pardo, like you got something to say?
Yeah, I do have something to say. I think at this point where we are right now, I would feel very comfortable bringing the Torsivia Law Group in to help us out on an interim basis. They've been, like they said, they've been representing the city of Riviera Beach for quite a number of years. They're involved with our unions. They've represented us on several cases, and they're also involved in Palm Beach County municipal government. I feel extremely comfortable with them. So at this point, I'd like to make a motion to hire the Torsivia Law Firm on an interim basis until we find a full-time city attorney.
There's a motion on the floor. Do we have a second? Do we have a second? One more time. Do we have a second? Lack of a second.
Chair Davis,
Vice Chair?
I would like to finish the comments before I approve any seconds, give any seconds or anything on anybody until we all kind of.
Right now, did you have any recommendations?
Well, no, I do want to, just looking at the two, they both obviously have worked for the city. They've done business with the city, and they've been with the city just as long with each other. I know one of the public comments was in regards to whether or not Mr. DeGraff and Wright would, it's a friendly situation. But I think we do need to point out that there's also a friendly situation in terms of Torsivia's group. So that, to me, is not an issue, because if we're hiring you to do a job, we're hiring you to do the job, and it should not be anything else. And one thing we should point out is that Ms. Ryan is retiring, and she's also going to work for Torsivia. So clearly, there was a relationship there too. So I think that needs to be in the back of everyone's mind as well, so we don't, ostracize one over the other. The other thing, I thought we cleared up, did we not get a clear understanding of what a conflict consisted of? Because I just want to make sure that, if there's some kind of conflict that's here, we need to make sure that it is disclosed and we're clear that there is no conflict with us in terms of Mr. Graffenwright representing someone or that type of thing. And I think with the emails that we received in regards to what a conflict is, I thought it was very clear that there was none. So I just wanted to point out those two things. I can, I'll wait until we get through the line, whoever else wants to make a comment. I just wanted to clear those couple things up. They look equal, but at the same time, they, there is, at some point we have to decide which one we want. But, the issue of Ms. Ryan, well, now she's retiring from us, but at the same time, now she's getting ready to work for the firm if we choose them, and it's almost like she's still there. So, you might as well stay here.
Madam, Mr. Chair.
Hold on, are you finished with your comments before we go into?
That is what, there was a comment that was made in the email from, was it Ms. Christie? Someone from the law firm referred to Ms. Ryan being an employee there now, so she could give input on some of the cases.
Only backup. It has been very clear that when I leave the city of Riviera Beach, I will be working on Mr. Torsivia's firm's other clients. I will not be working, you will not have to worry about seeing
But
my
how do we
face.
control that, or they control that?
I'm telling you that I will not, but that was always the case.
Okay.
Also, I just want to make the comment, just so that the public knows, there is no conflict, but it should be said that there are a couple of cases that Mr. DeGraffenwright was involved in that he will not participate in as it relates to other people who have filed suit against the city. Those suits are still pending. I think Mr. DeGraffenwright's letter reflected a conflict with the council. And I'm stating that I don't believe that there is a conflict with those other matters. However, I sent you all the email. I want to be clear because I want the public to be clear on what I've given the council from one of the attorneys that because of Mr. DeGraffenwright's prior involvement, that he would be not included in the case. So I just wanted to make that clear.
So he basically recuse himself from that particular.
Correct, that we'll have to go through the insurance company. But let me be clear that Pamela Ryan will not be continuing on City of Riviera Beach assignments when she leaves.
Any other members of the board, any questions, concerns?
Yeah, I have,
Councilperson Johnson?
Mr. Chair.
Yes, ma'am.
So what I am unclear in my mind about is what is the sense of urgency for us to make an immediate and unprecedented decision? What is so urgent that we have out there that is pending that we need to bring someone on the interim basis that needs to be addressed right now? Can someone lay that out to me? I know we got a listing of all of the attorneys and what services they are providing to us. So I am looking for someone to clarify to me what this sense of urgency is in moving forward in such a manner as this. What is not clear to me is also the term. what I feel that if we are to do anything, we should be commencing the search. And those that are interested can submit their resumes, and as a board, we select it. Attorney DeGraffenwright outlined in his letter some of the things, some of the measurable criteria that we should be considering. So we should know exactly what it is that we are looking for as it relates to the services of a city attorney. And so I am of the opinion that the search is what we should be talking about as it relates to identifying a qualified city attorney with the relevant and specialized experience in municipal government. I just need to understand this sense of urgency, and if someone can enlighten me, I'm willing to listen. But I think that, rather than looking to hire someone interimly, and then we need to determine what those fees and costs are going to look like, that subject has not been touched upon at all. But that's the direction that that's my position that I'm standing in right now, because I don't understand it. And anybody can tell me what's the urgency, Mr. Chair?
I think I stated my position in the last meeting that we had, and my position hasn't changed. All due respect.
Pardon?
With all due respect, I stated in the last meeting, my position has stated that I started thinking about this decision quite a few weeks ago, and this is just the route I just chose to go. But if anybody else want to do something different, I'm more than listen to what they have to say.
Well, for me, the sense of urgency is that we are a municipality with a lot going on the city and the CRA side, and all kinds of things in between, and we need to have some legal advice or legal representation to keep ourselves out of harm's way. That would be my reasoning for thinking we need some legal representation now.
Do we not have legal representation on all matters that are affecting the city or CRA side as it stands, based on the listing of firms that were presented to us?
As of now, we do. As of today.
I didn't understand.
She was asking right now, are those services being provided at this time? Is that correct, Councilperson Johnson?
That was my question, sir.
Yes.
Chair.
Oh, hold
Chair.
on. Because so somebody waiting.
Well, they can't.
No, I was just trying to hold on.
Well, I mean, if that is the case, I thought at the last meeting we discussed, well, first of all, I thought that there were a few council people who spoke with Ms. Ryan in regards to a transitioning plan.
Yep.
And I wasn't one of them. I can honestly say I did not meet with her in regards to a transitioning plan, but there were a couple of council members that said that they did. And so apparently there was a concern about the lack or the gap between Ms. Ryan leaving and actually conducting the search and then bringing someone on. So now are we saying that we can do without having legal counsel, period, in terms, Ms. Ryan's position, basically? So are we saying we don't need a person in her position at this time because we have the Torsivia group covering so many different cases? I mean, is that what I'm saying?
No, that's not what we're saying.
No, that's not what we're saying. It's about who we want.
That's not what I'm saying at all.
It's about,
That's
it's
what
about.
No, that was really from this, because I was just trying to
I
clarify.
simply asked, what's the sense of urgency? When I said that I met with Ms. Ryan, she relayed to me that she would be leaving I knew that there was no succession plan in place, so there was no dedicated plan that was laying anywhere on a shelf or otherwise that would talk about how we would transition moving forward. Did we drop the ball? Yes.
But you know what that bothers me more than anything? The last retreat, we was here back in mid-June, correct? And just a couple of days after the retreat, we received a letter, and that could have been discussed in the retreat. So that's a whole nother issue as it regards then. That issue should have been discussed in the retreat.
But how do we make a decision for a person as to how they want to exit or not? I mean, yes, she could have. Was the environment such that it could have been received? It could have been. But I'm not talking about, at this particular point, I'm not talking about the what ifs, and I respect you being upset over the fact that, you know, a couple of days later you got the notice. We all got the notice. Would it have been better for us to have received information? Absolutely. But we did not get the information. But again, I am asking a question. If I don't get the answer, I'm good. But I'm just
I'm prepared to
asking
answer.
for my decision-making.
Okay. With all due respect, I'm finna pass the gavel to the Vice Chair. Madam Chair. Just waiting to speak.
Go ahead.
I'm prepared now to put a motion on the floor to hire Attorney DeGraff Wright's law firm as the temporary city attorney.
Second.
I'm sorry. I gotta get my mind right that I have the gavel. I'm still over here. We have a motion on the floor, Ms.
We have a second as well.
Yeah, we have a second from Ms. Hubbard.
Yes.
Any discussion? Okay, Ms. Anthony.
Councilperson Hubbard,
Yes.
Councilperson Davis Johnson,
No?
Councilperson Pardo,
No.
Pro Tem Miller Anderson,
Yes.
Chair Davis.
Yes.
That motion is approved with Councilperson Davis Johnson and Councilperson Pardo dissenting.
Okay. Are we doing any comments,
No.
closing comments, or we're going with an adjournment?
Oh, no.
Madam Chair.
Are we-
Madam Chair.
Are you saying anything?
He's talking to me. I'm sorry. I am so not with the gavel
I
here.
apologize.
You want to take the gavel back?
No, I want to put another motion on the floor.
Okay. Go ahead.
That we haven't discussed the terms of the agreement. The motion is to, as we hired Attorney Graffin, that his compensation is the same as the current city attorney.
Second.
Do we have any discussion?
Yeah, for the record, can someone tell us what it is?
What? I didn't hear that.
You don't know what you make, Attorney Ryan?
You know what you make that out?
You get paid that for the last 20 years, you know what you make?
Hold on, remember, we're still on the meeting. I know we finished the retreat. We're back in business
you're
mode.
right.
So make sure we still
Retreat
stay
mode.
with the Robert's rules.
I'm looking at the finance director. It is not a lot. I think it's between $73 and $75 an hour. You think that's a lot, Mr. Slozier? Come see me in private practice. But I think it's around 3,200 a week. The salary.
That's something we already budgeted for, so.
Put my business out in the street. You know exactly what you need. See, the reason why, because one of the things we have to do, which is a different way.
While we're waiting on that, I know we got a motion on the floor. Okay, well, I'll wait now.
Hold on. You don't know what you make?
Well, the issue, I know what I make, but I have longevity, so that's why I can't tell you. Under my contract, I make 145, but I have longevity, so
Okay.
I'm assuming you meant plus the longevity amount?
Yeah,
If
whatever
you don't
make,
mean the
yes.
longevity amount, I make 145,000, that's my salary.
Okay,
But then with longevity added, it's a different rate, and that's why I don't know off the top, because
okay.
I
Well, I'll
don't,
just wait to see what
what the longevity rate
is
is.
longevity.
Not that everybody knows all my business.
Mr. Chair, while you're waiting.
I'm prepared to,
Yes,
you
wait,
know.
we have a,
No, I'll let.
Hold on.
Madam Chair, go ahead.
Would the maker of the motion also consider including what the time frame is?
we might have to come with
Come
another
back with a second.
motion.
I'll come back with
because-
another motion.
Come back with another motion because they already have the second.
We have comments. I got a couple of comments to make at the end. Nice comments. We'll just take 2 minutes.
He said he'll come back.
Oh, okay.
Do we need to take a recess?
Madam Chair, while they're doing that,
Yes,
may I make a comment
go ahead.
Yeah, I just did it right here.
until they're ready? First, I just want to compliment the chair on the process today and the procedure. He's done a good job
So
today.
that's-
And I want to say that I'm very thankful. He and I are going to go toe-to-toe on the warehouse, but on this, I really think the chair did a good job on his presentation of this special meeting.
Okay, thank you. Do we have it?
Yes.
Okay.
I was correct. It's $73, and plus longevity makes it $80, and it's $3,200, $3,212 a week.
Oh, wait.
What do you mean by longevity?
Because I've been here for 20 years, every 4 years, general employees get an additional 2% a year added to their salary. So I've been here for 20 years, it's 10%.
Point of clarification, so is the motion to give the interim attorney the same salary, including the longevity, those 20 years that, or is it
Yes.
the base salary?
No, everything, whatever she's making is what he's making.
Really?
That's
I'm
the,
sorry.
I was very clear in my motion about, and I want to make sure I put, we discussed an effective date as well in that motion. Because, Mr. Attorney Ryan, your last day of working is what day?
It's going to be July 22nd, the mayor's birthday. I messed that up last
so you-
time, July 22nd.
Okay,
I want to-
I appreciate that.
We'll be celebrating.
Not that you messed it up the
Okay,
last.
let's stay on that.
Okay, my motion still
Okay.
stays the same, that, including the longevity pay.
And Mr. Chair, just for clarification, when do you said a time frame, but you didn't say when you wanted to start.
Legally, when could he start?
Well, you know, one of the things that you and I discussed was a transition period. So I think in that discussion, it was your intention that he start immediately so that I can turn over cases. And also, there are a lot of contracts, there are a lot of meetings that I've been trying to defer with staff because I don't want to give them my, and the manager knows, I talked about it in the staff meeting, so that we can go ahead and start scheduling those meetings now, if that's something you wanted to do. Or he can come
No,
this day I leave.
I add the date, since you do it that way, July 12th, which is tomorrow.
So can we have the whole
The motion is to, we already put the motion on to hire the graphite, that has been approved, correct? So this motion is to,
You're amending your,
no, that was the first motion, so this motion, I'll make sure I be clear. So this motion was to, that Attorney DeGraff right to get paid the same
hold
compensation.
on.
Point of order,
Go ahead.
Mr. Chair. Your motion was to pay Mr. DeGraffenwright at the current rate
Okay,
of the city attorney. If you're going to do the effective date, you need to amend your motion.
Okay, I will amend my motion as hiring attorney DeGraff Wright for the effective date as of July 12th, getting paid the same compensation as the attorney Ryan, including longevity.
Not ready. Madam Chair?
Does your second still stand?
Not ready. Madam Chair,
go ahead.
I just don't think it's fair, personally, and I'm just speaking for me. I don't think it's fair to bring anyone in and give them the same amount of pay, and that pay is wrapped up in 20 years, and to give that person the same amount, to me, it doesn't seem fair. And that's all I have to say on that. Thank you, and I'm good.
Okay, hold on.
Somebody?
I know, we both confused right now, I know.
Okay.
Did you want to say something, Ms. Hubbard?
Yes. With all due respect to the mayor, the reason that I don't have a problem with it is this. Even though Ms. Ryan attained that salary by her tenure and longevity, it's not like we bringing in an unseasoned attorney. He has the wherewithal, the knowledge of the city, the track record, the resume to command that or more per hour. All of the attorneys at Mr. Torsivia's law firm is younger than Mr. Tosivia and Mr. DeGraff and Wright, and they started out together. And as the young lady stated to you from the beginning, they come at $1.95 an hour. So that's why I don't have a problem paying Mr. DeGraff and Wright $80 an hour. I have never sat twice with an attorney that charged me $80 an hour. They give you them 5 minutes for free consultation, and it's a wrap. So you won't be back for $80 an hour. So I don't have a problem with that because he's well worth it or more. He's put in the time. He has the years. He has the resume, as I said, and he has already proven himself equally for the city of Riviera Beach, and that's why I feel comfortable with that, sir.
No problem.
I do have a question for the attorney. So, with, I guess the way the motion was made, to say including longevity pay, is that a term it needs to be removed?
Well, you're saying that now, but when we do the contract, whatever my rate is what we're gonna put the number in. We're not gonna say the rate plus, no, we're just saying that because you all asked how much I made and I couldn't give you a number because of the longevity. But the actual document that I present him with, which will be very similar to what I did with Michael Brown, it will have the number in it. And it's gonna be, it's around $3,200. Whatever that, we'll break it down to the exact amount. And we will say per week, because you're not paying him by the hour as you would have done with the Tracivia law firm. You're paying him by the week. That's what I'm understanding. So that's how much he's going to be paid to be a full-time, I'm assuming, a full-time city attorney for the city on the interim basis. I think that's the understanding. Right. Mr. DeGraff Wright's nodding his head. I want to make.
Madam Chair?
Go ahead.
Let me ask you a question, Attorney Ryan. On any typical week, how much time do you normally put in for the city as a city attorney? On a typical week?
On a typical week?
Typical week.
50 plus. I mean, last Wednesday, I worked a full day, and then we worked a full night. And then we had to be back here for the full day the next day, and ready for staff meeting with a smile with the manager. So it won't just be 40 hours a week.
The reason I asked that question, because I'm calculating, I just did 50 hours.
Yeah, you calculate my real salary.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's $9,700 a week.
$9,700.
You know, that's my calculator broke. The city need to get another phone.
No, because I can only be paid for I can only be paid 40 hours a week.
I know. Okay, so
Right.
when you go back to 40 hours,
Right, I just do
times
40 hours.
195, which was suggested by the Sylvia firm, that is 7,800 a week. So he's talking about, yeah, exactly. And their recommendation was 7,800 a week. And we talking about 30-some hundred is that right? And that's not fair? That's double.
If
So, you
if
know,
it's
if y'all don't do that, we can go
Hold
to
on,
hourly
hold
rate.
on,
If it's
hold on.
calculated.
Who has, here's the floor.
And if y'all want to go to hourly rate, we can do that as well. It might cost us more money if that's what you want to do.
Okay, any other questions, comments? Okay.
Councilperson Pardo?
No.
Councilperson Hubbard?
Yes.
Councilperson Davis Johnson?
No.
Pro Tem Miller Anderson?
Yes.
Chair Davis?
Yes.
That motion is approved with Councilpersons Pardo and Davis Johnson dissenting.
And I still have the gavel, but do we, did that information that we just discussed include benefits? Are we not talking about benefits? And also the other thing of what is the amount of time we're talking about, keep bringing them on? Or should I just go, someone make a motion as to what amount of time we're talking about having them on until we can, I guess, put the job out there?
I
and
suggest
search?
we can put this on the next city council meeting discussion on the timeframe what we want to discuss moving forward.
You can do that, but,
Negotiate.
right, but you all have already made a decision that he will work, I thought the motion was starting tomorrow, until you do your selection.
Exactly.
Yes.
And he's going to assist
Okay.
with that selection process.
Right.
So, Madam Chair?
But I thought, are you asking?
Well, I mean, okay, let's just think about this now. We had our Human Resource Department Director position vacant for over a year. Utility District is going on 3-4 months now. Parks and Rec, a year, almost a year. So, I mean, are we getting ready to follow that same pattern and have them interim for another year? And, you know, where do
Oh,
we
you wanna
want
talk
to
about process.
put the, do we want to immediately go out and, well, come up, first of all, what we're looking for in an attorney, and then start the search, and hopefully put a timeline as to when we want to have the permanent person in place. So that's kind of what I was thinking about in terms of the attorney.
Madam Chair?
Go ahead.
And that's something I was going to do by the next meeting, is kind of sit down and figure out what are some of the things we, at least on my end, that do some research on what we may be looking for, so when we come back to another meeting, that we can discuss that at that time. And then everyone can put in their input on what they want, and then we go from there.
Okay, so can we have that added to the July 20th meeting, and Ms. Ryan will still be here?
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay, just have that added. I mean, I know you two do the adding of the agenda.
Well, she's going to be transitioning with him, so I don't know who's going to be sitting in the meeting at that time. Because he very well might be sitting in that meeting.
Whatever the pleasure of the council.
Tell us what's the appropriate name to do. Go ahead, I'm sorry.
So I'd like to make a comment. You know, we talked about the public works and parks and rec and stuff. That has nothing to do with this city council.
Right.
The city council is responsible for hiring a city attorney. So we don't even, you know, really have to sit with the city manager or anything and say, okay, you know, when do you think we should go out? We can make this decision on the 20th. Everyone start thinking about it. We can make the decision on what kind of attorney we're looking for, what we want the criteria to be. Do we want to hire an outside agency to help us with the search? And then we can set, you know, we could put all the criteria together. We can put the criteria together, and, you know, my hope is to have someone in place at the start of the next fiscal year, which is October 1st. And I think, you know, if we all get on the same page, I think that is extremely doable. Thank you.
Okay, so do I hear we are going to put this on the agenda for July 20th to discuss?
So let's discuss.
Comment, Mrs. Chair,
Go
Madam
ahead,
Chair.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
I think that we're bringing Mr. DeGraffenwright right in immediately so that he can do a transition with Mrs. Ryan. And as he stated, he was going to be assisting, and I'm sure they will be discussing the criteria that is needed for a full-time attorney and what that RFQ will look like. So I don't think that we need to waste our money when we have two learned attorneys capable of drafting an RFQ to come in and help us put out a request for an attorney. And I think what we should do we should not stifle ourselves closing this on the end, because we know it'll be done before she leaves. She's leaving in 2 weeks. So I don't think we need to worry about closing that gap, because it'll give us a rushed amount of time to find somebody. And if we don't want to do ourselves a disservice, I think we should leave it open-ended. And again, I just reiterate the fact that Ms. Ryan and Mr. DeGraff Wright will be both working on that document. Who knows our city better?
Okay, so what I'm hearing is that we're gonna bring it to the July 20th meeting for discussion and deliberation.
About bringing,
About anything that, the terms, or do we need to not have it on there, or you wanna just leave it open? What are you saying? Just-
Well,
Go ahead.
Do we typically do RFQs for hiring?
Yeah, you can.
what would you do with a firm if you wanted
Ms.
a firm?
Jones, Ms. Jones,
Are you saying for the firm, not for the hiring, the actual hiring of the attorney?
hold
No.
on. Ms. Jones?
Thank you, Madam
Let me
Chair. I
ask
think one of the things that you might want to think about between now and your meeting on the 20th, and that is what process you want to use. Because if you determine your process, then that will help you out. Do you want it such that you hire an executive search firm and they get the charge to go out, identify, bring you a short list of candidates for you to interview? I would say that unless you are going to hire a person to handle this project for you, I would recommend you do a search firm. The volume is generally such that even with our current positions, HR being able to handle this, generally they're not done in-house, they're done with search firms.
Anything else? Have a motion to adjourn the meeting?
So move.
So moved.
Oh,
Second.
did I miss something? What?
Oh, motion to,
Oh,
She
you were
said she
still-
wasn't done.
No, no, no. Hold on. You,
No, it was on an unrelated matter. Are we just not dealing with anything
Well,
else beyond this?
isn't this the only thing we can address, or no? Ms. Ryan?
Well, I mean, you all can bring up things in your city council comments, but if you want to make final decisions on issues, and it's, I would have an issue bringing it up if you didn't let the public speak about it because of the law. In the old days, you could have brought up anything and talked about it, but because of the new law that says the public has a right to speak on any decision before you make a final decision, which means that they don't have to do it throughout the process, but if you're gonna make a final decision, like at this special meeting, it should be an issue that they have an opportunity to speak at today, or you've given them an opportunity at some point.
It was going to be a request for an organizational retreat that we
Oh,
set aside
yeah,
some
we can do
time,
that.
that we set aside 8 hours to talk about what our protocol, our rules, our function, because, you know, we understand that we have transitioned from a different board, and we have not had an opportunity to have that conversation. We've been doing more of the briefings with the, with staff on both the city and the CRA side. So I wanted to make a motion that we set aside 8 hours, identify some time that it best suits the schedule of the council so that we can have that organizational type meeting, so that we can have conversation.
We're gonna take a vote on it?
Madam Chair?
I mean, was that a comment or a motion? No, that was a motion. Okay,
Madam Chair?
yes.
While we may go through our calendars at this time to figure it out, could we take all this in consideration and be prepared with some optional dates to send the staff and be prepared to announce something in the very next city council meeting for effective date? Because we've been because with our schedules, it's been extremely difficult to come up with this time, because I know we have another meeting getting ready to happen. I don't know how long this conversation is gonna take, and we have a 5:30 meeting, it's 5:24 now at this time.
Well, I
So-
think, hold on, I think she's just
Can I
asking.
just amend it then
Yeah.
to say that we schedule a date, setting aside 8 hours at our July 20th meeting for our
That's right.
city council organizational retreat?
Any other
Yeah, Madam
questions?
Chair, on the July 20th meeting, who's going to be the attorney? Is Attorney Ryan going to be sitting there in her seat on July the 20th, the meeting that we're talking about, the city council meeting?
Unless she's off, right?
Okay, because she was still getting paid. I don't want her to, I want her to work till she ends.
Earn your keep.
Okay,
Got to earn her last dollar.
okay, we have a motion on the floor. Go ahead.
Councilperson Pardo? Councilperson Davis Johnson? Councilperson Hubbard? Pro Tem Miller Anderson?
Yes.
Chair Davis?
Yes.
Unanimous vote.
Okay, motion to adjourn?
Move.
Third. Why not?